Hello and welcome to segment 2 of the Definitely Football podcast. It's a bit different setup, you might notice. I'm recording this after the segment 1 and 3, just because it was very long. Obviously, we had a lot to talk about, so we didn't have time. But here I am to give you a slightly shorter LOI recap. It was FAI Cup weekend, and there was not that many upsets, unfortunately. I think when me and Dara previewed this round in episode 4, I think we would have expected more upsets than this. But yeah, the Saturday games were probably the closest we got. Bray taking Galway to penalties was a big one. I think John Caulfield was probably relieved to get that over the line. Bray looked serious, and I think we've talked a lot about in the first division, people kind of, teams in the first division being a bit, on and off and stuff, and probably not putting enough form together. But Bray turned up when it mattered, and it's a big game when you're playing in the FAI Cup against a Premier Division team like Galway. And Galway missed a lot of chances in the first half, and they were probably made pay in the second half because they really struggled to find the winner in that, and both in an extra time too. So it took them all the way to penalties, but they got that done, and they have a date with Drogheda now, which is a very, very favourable draw for both teams. But yeah, that was a good game, and I think that was probably the game that people looked at most, and you can get upset there. But no, Galway were able to hold that out in the end. UCD almost took Derry, which that's probably one of the most foregone. Even though, look, we've talked about Derry. They're not a cohesive team at the moment, especially losing. Obviously, they lost Tiernan Lynch a few weeks ago. They have Mark Connolly in as interim manager. There's all the stuff with James McLean's contract and all that. But yeah, UCD put up a very good fight, and they did be proud of how they did. I think more than anything else, you don't want to be rolled over in games like that by teams like Derry, especially with the quality that they possess. So to be able to have them 1-1 for so long, and then obviously look, it's tough to take a dagger to get knocked out, but I think you'll be, if you're looking at your team as UCD, you're going to be proud of how you did in that scenario, especially with the look. It's not an easy draw. Like, let's not take the piss, and they'll probably feel hard done by the draw, really. But yeah, hopefully they learn a lot from that, and they can take that a lot of positives out of that, and they can go into the playoffs with a lot of positives to take going into the playoffs, and hopefully they can hopefully for their sake they can make a run, because they've probably been overdue since they got relegated to really make a push at the to get back up. And the last game on that was Waterford Athlone, which was another one where, like, Athlone again, Athlone have been one of the poorer sides in the first division this season. And with the form Waterford have been on, we spoke a lot about Waterford already, about how good they've been. And yeah, you would have thought, to be honest, personally, I thought this would be about a 3-0 Waterford win. But no, Athlone did really well to make it a game. And look, I think they're going to lose Killian Toilet to Bologna, which will be a hard miss for them, because he was very good against Waterford. And again, like, it's kind of the same story with the UCD one, where it was quality prevailed a little bit, even when Waterford weren't at their A game. I think you can, as Athlone, you can take a lot of positives, and as Waterford, you can kind of be a bit worried, especially with the good form they've been on. You're not giving up the form, but you're staggering your good form to put in a poor performance against a not that inspiring Athlone team this year. So yeah, like that, it was an interesting Friday for sure, and I think actually coming out of that, I was like, oh, you can, if those 3 games all were that close to coming into to being an upset, I think you could have looked at the other games. But no, on the Saturday there was 3 trouncings really. Castlebar losing 8-0 to Dundalk. It's gonna happen. As a non-league team, when you're coming up against a good team, you just kind of keep the score to whatever you can, and yeah, Dundalk were great, but fair play to Castlebar for getting that far. Corinthians, on the other hand, only 3-0 to Drogheda at home. I mean, that's a very big occasion for a team like Corinthians to host at your own park, a proper first division team or Premier Division team at Drogheda, and to only hold them 3-0. Like, Drogheda went 2-0 up quite quickly. But to be fair to Corinthians, they didn't give up, and I think it would be very easy to just, once you're 2-0 down straight away, just kind of not throw in the towel, but, you know, like, just end up falling apart a little bit. But they didn't, to be fair to them, and they did very well to make Drogheda fight for the other goal, and, you know, fight to only have it at 3-0. And to be very fair play to everyone at Corinthians for that, because it's a pretty good result, to be fair. Obviously, look, you want to get through, but there's, you know, you have to be realistic about things too. Like, if Cork City fucking played Drogheda, I won't expect us to get through, not to mind Corinthians. Cork City, which I'm not talking about this week because we got knocked out, but that's neither here nor there. And Sligo Kerry was quite disappointing, I must say. Not because I thought that because I thought that they'd get through, but more so because obviously Kerry beat Shelbourne in the last round, and Kerry beat Sligo last year in the quarterfinals, and it's a worse Sligo team than they beat last year, and it's a better Kerry team now than the Kerry team last year, in my opinion. And Sligo are in horrible form, and they just, Sligo blitzed them. Fair play to Keane Kavanagh, absolutely. He had a great game. There was really no chance for Kerry, and it's disappointing. Kerry had a load of chances. They're the rake chances. They hit the woodwork a few times. They probably should have scored. Like, it wasn't really a 4-0 game, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what happens sometimes when you're a first division team going up against a Premier Division team. There's not much more to say about that. And then on to Sunday, which had the best game, obviously clearly the best game, but just on Bows Longford, Bows 4, Longford 0. Just copy and paste what I said about Sligo and Kerry. I think when you're a first division team and you're travelling to the Premier Division team's home park, especially like Bows have been one of the best teams in the league. Obviously they've been very inconsistent, as I've stressed before. But yeah, for Bows, you're coming in and you need a lot of things to go wrong to lose that game to Longford, even though Longford have been exceptional as of recent, as a team who a lot of people probably would have thought would have done worse in the first division than they have. Like, they're pushing playoffs now, and I think Bows blitzed them away. Paddy Manning coming back, making his first appearance, didn't tear up any trees really, but Collie Whelan was the standout for Bows against Longford. He had an amazing game. So did quite a few of the Bows players, to be fair. I think Collie Whelan needs to, he's coming back to, obviously when you have the 2 injuries that he's had, it's heartbreaking, but he's kind of coming into form this season where you can see him being a top striker in the league now, with some of the performances he's putting in. And getting to the biggest game of the weekend, Shamrock Rovers 2, St. Pat's 3. Wow. Yeah, if anyone watched this was on RT. I don't even Shamrock Rovers went 2-0 up. Michael Noonan's header being the dagger to make it 2-0. And you just think, you see that 2-0 and Shamrock Rovers are, they're flying, and after their embarrassing defeat in Albania, because that's what it was. It was embarrassing. Let's not get it twisted. That was an embarrassing loss in Albania. But yeah, you're coming back 2-0 up, home away to your rivals, absolutely cruising, and it just absolutely all blows up. Shamrock or Pat's get a goal back. You can see the City penalty in the last minute of normal time, and Ed McGinty will be annoyed with the penalty. He probably should keep it out, but Aidan Keena squeezes it in, and then it goes to extra time, and Sam Rooney with the goal for the, I don't know, he's 16 or 17, he's one of the two, which is absolutely incredible for him. What a moment. And it leaves a lot of questions to be answered for Shamrock Rovers. They're absolutely falling apart at the seams. Not that I don't see them winning it, but if they keep playing like this, then there might be no winner. There's no one that good anymore. It's appalling. It's genuinely appalling, and I don't want to say Stephen Bradley should be sacked, but you could kind of make the argument. It's not at all what you'd expect of the Shamrock Rovers team that we've come to know at this point. There's lack of backbone. There was a lack of backbone about it, And there's a lot of stuff needs to be answered, whether it's players doing stuff wrong or the manager doing stuff wrong or whatever. But yeah, it's a big win for Pats, but they've been rewarded with a game against Bows in the quarterfinal, which is the pick of the bunch of the quarterfinals. Repeat of two finals, I believe 2023 and 2019 or something, 2021 maybe, I don't know. Something like that. Two recent finals were both Pats Bows. That's an incredible draw. And like Waterford are playing Sligo. The winner of that will be licking their lips. Like they both love that draw. Same with Galway playing Drogheda. And then Derry playing Dundalk is the other one. I did see someone make a point of it's 8 Premier Division teams like left. It's a bit like has the parity ever been bigger between the First Division and Premier Division? Like, yeah, it is a bit worrying. I saw John Caulfield talking about it should be a 12-team Premier Division. It'd be hard to disagree with that, considering like how big the gap is between the Premier Division and the First Division. Like, you've Cork City floating between the two, and like you'll probably have Sligo floating between the two. But generally, like, there should probably be 12 teams in the Premier Division, just to make it a little bit easier for the transition from First Division to Premier Division. But I do completely agree with John Caulfield on that. But yeah, hopefully those are some tasty quarterfinals, and I'm going to presume Pats versus Bows will be the one on RT. So if you're I don't know what date it is, but you should tune into that. That'll be an absolutely class game. But yeah, they were all the fixtures. It was just FAI Cup. There was no Premier Division or First Division. Cork City had the week off. Obviously, we got knocked out to Shamrock Rovers. But yeah, look, that's that. And the other two segments of this are extremely long because predictions. It's class. We've recorded the other two already. I'm after this. They're class segments. We had a great time. So you should watch those till the. I mean, if you're here, you've watched the first segment, but you should watch the second segment to the end. It's their Premier League tables are great. But yeah, tune in for that. And as for me, from the LOI recap, see you in a second.